Tonight on The Local Live, Westchester County Police warn residents of suspicious packages and what to do if you receive one. Larchmont couple Audrey and Thibault Deckert of Street Art for Mankind bring historical murals to the village. We explore the One River School of Art and Design in Larchmont. And on tonight's roundtable, Better Angels tackles bipartisanship in a divided America. Good evening, it's Thursday, November 1st. I'm Alexandria Garcia and welcome to The Local Live. Westchester County Executive George Latimer and Westchester Public Safety Commissioner Tom Gleason held a press conference after two suspicious bomb threats happened at the towns of Bedford and Newcastle.
Monday, October 22nd, this started at approximately 4:30 p.m. when Bedford Police Department called and requested the assistance of the County Police Hazardous Devices Unit for the suspected pipe bomb at the Soros residence in their jurisdiction. So our Hazardous Devices Unit responded, x-rayed the device, saw that it contained potentially, or could have possibly contained a hazardous substance, and they rendered it safe. On Tuesday, at about 23:35 hours, 11:35 p.m., the U.S. Secret Service contacted us and requested our Hazardous Devices Unit again for a suspected pipe bomb received in the mail that was headed for the Clinton residence in Chappaqua. So that package was intercepted, and again, our Hazardous Device Unit responded. They secured and dealt with that device, which appeared to be very, very similar to the one from the Soros incident the day before, secured it, and it was brought back and safeguarded with the County Police Hazardous Devices Unit as well. But both those devices were subsequently turned over to the FBI today, and the FBI is taking them along with the other devices that were recovered, and they're going to be bringing them down to Quantico, Virginia for further analysis and testing.
There are no specific threats to county residents as we are aware at this time. We ask everybody to remain vigilant. We don't know if this is going to be something we will see again. It's particularly important in Westchester County because we are the home to many, many prominent people. You have leaders not just in government and in politics who reside here in this county or have business in this county. We have top corporate executives who live in this county. We have people in the entertainment field, prominent people that we see on television reside in this county, prominent sports players and so forth, and those in the music industry. All of those people in Westchester County we're tasked with protecting, and the high-profile individuals may have some protection of their own, but the protection that's provided through the law enforcement agencies, the county and the other ones, is provided to every resident of Westchester County. We want them to be assured that we understand what happened, what the potential threat was.
For more information on how to identify suspicious packages or activities, visit www.westchestergov.com or call 911. Coyotes are back and some area residents are alarmed. The DEC advises not to feed coyotes or allow them to approach people or pets. If you see one, act aggressively. New York State does not allow trapping or shooting coyotes without a permit. You can visit the state DEC website on your screen now for more information. Area residents can contact their police department to report any sightings. The Federal Communications Commission further notice of proposed rulemaking on cable franchising was published in the Federal Register on October 15th. The proposed rule may put funding for local community access stations, including LMC-TV, at risk. Currently, municipalities nationwide receive franchise fees from cable operators that are used to operate public, education, and government channels in their community. The FCC's proposal would allow for cable companies like Verizon and Optimum to make certain deductions from local franchising fees. A deduction in franchise fee funding could have an extreme financial effect on stations across the country. This could mean no more watching municipal meetings live from home, no more original programming from members in the community, no more community media centers. LMC-TV is a member of the Alliance for Community Media, a national organization that advocates, promotes, and preserves the right to media in support of diverse community voices. For more information on the FCC's proposed rule and what you can do to weigh in, please visit www.oldcommunitymedia.org. And now in tonight's roundtable, Maura Carlin explores bipartisan understanding with Better Angels.
Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm Maura Carlin. We're a few days before the midterm elections and just weeks before the holiday season, and many of us are wondering, how are we going to survive visits with family or friends across the political divide, or the other side of the political aisle? The United States remains quite polarized, reds against blues, conservatives versus progressives. One group is trying to bring people together, not necessarily to change their views, but to talk, to listen, and respect, and it's called Better Angels. Our guests are two volunteers who organized a workshop last weekend in White Plains, Sarah Silver and Ken Freeman. And I'll let you figure out where each of them stand. But for full disclosure, about a year and a half ago, Sarah and I put together a small Better Angels workshop in White Plains. My role, besides organizing, at the event I was, maybe appropriately, the reporter or the recorder of the events and the discussion of the participants, but I was not an actual participant. Now remember, you can participate in this discussion. Call, email, comment. The contact information's on your screen. So Sarah and Ken, let me turn to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And let's start with, just tell us what Better Angels really is.
Better Angels is a ground-up citizens movement, bipartisan citizens movement that started soon after the 2016 national election. And its goal is to unify this country in these deeply polarizing times. And it does this through a series of scripted, moderated events, like workshops, where we bring together an equal number of Republicans and Democrats. And there are some ground rules where people are encouraged to listen respectfully and speak respectfully. But the one thing we do not do is we do not expect anyone to change their political ideology. We hope to enlarge their understandings of who the other is through building, a common ground. And
So Ken, if you're
one of
not
our
trying
things.
to change minds, what is unification?
Okay. Unification is really, it's a process. In these workshops, by having each side listen to the other, and there's a carefully developed protocol for how we do this. The groups each get to know the other as individuals, as people, not just as somebody screaming on a cable news channel or whatever. People talk about, they go through a process where you come to understand what is their background, what has guided or informed their points of view. So you get a chance to know people. It's sort of interesting. I was reading an article the other day. Nancy Pelosi, the former Speaker of the House, who may become the next Speaker again, her daughter is a journalist for CNN, Alexandria Pelosi, and she said it's tough to hate people up close. Mm-hmm. And so we try to get people to interact as people, and hopefully in doing that, to find some common ground. Because the real end goal of all this is, how do we get red-blue alliances to work together? Because somehow we people, ordinary citizens, need to let the political class understand that we don't want all this divisiveness. We want people working together to develop solutions to problems.
So can you describe what happens at a workshop?
Well, the most recent workshop that we helped to organize was last Saturday. And after Ken and I spent many months recruiting, which is quite a challenge.
I know.
We were very fortunate in having total parity, equal number of Republicans and an equal number of Democrats. And the moderators, as Ken said, are skilled and they are trained in facilitation. And the protocol that is used is very scripted. So there's a choreography around what happens in the workshop. People first get to introduce themselves, explain why they're there. Then they move into 2 groups where they talk about stereotypes about themselves that the other has, and the kernel of truth that there might be to that stereotype. Following that, they come together again and they do what's called a fishbowl exercise, which is a group dynamic exercise where one group sits in the center and responds to certain questions while the other group, all they do on the outer circle is to listen. And then the process is reversed. And then there's a wrap-up. So our goal is
So
that
there's not a conclusion.
the conclusion is that they do have concluding statements that they make at the end in terms of what were their takeaways, what did they learn. And that is often very insightful because, as Ken said, when you are face-to-face, you really humanize the other. You know, and in this day of social media where people fire off one thing or the other in an environment where you don't even care to know, much less see who you are saying this to, this becomes, you know, an event where we are all Americans. And I think that is the bottom line here. Red, blue, and purple, as we refer to ourselves. We are all Americans. Yeah.
And actually, I'm glad you mentioned the purple. Is it harder to get one side red or blue, or does even if it's not, do you end up with people who tend to be a little closer to the purple?
I think that likely varies by geography. So we can talk to what we see in the Northeast, okay? And we live in an area that tends to be more liberal. As a result, it is tougher to recruit Reds. Reds tend to be fearful, feeling they're going to be verbally attacked once they're in this kind of session. Frankly, we also hear the dynamic of one group or the other saying, why would I want to be in a room with these people? So it's a little bit of a self-selecting process. We need to recruit people who are willing to come together and do all this. You know, I would also build on what Sarah was saying before, that in terms of the process, the workshop process, by having the groups think about what are the big stereotypes you think others have about you, and what's not right about it, and what are the kernels of truth, you get a degree of introspection that people don't typically have when they're watching their favorite or reading their favorite news source. So it really does get people thinking about how are they perceived,
And how they perceive
and
others.
how they perceive others, what's behind them, and probably gets people a little bit thinking about, you know, there are reasons why they see us this way. So, you know, but I think that in this geography, you're going to get people, let's say, certainly on the red side, closer to the middle, whereas my guess is in other parts of the country, you may see the spectrum move from left to right as opposed to here from right to left.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will finish our discussion about Better Angels, or continue it.
Do you know how to request our services? Just go to LMC-TV.org. Under the service banner, click Forms. In our Forms section, you can apply to be a volunteer, learn about membership, learn about corporate underwriting, request a bulletin board, coverage, DVD dubs, equipment, and PSAs.
It's all a click away at LMC-TV.org.
Welcome back to the Roundtable. We're talking with 2 volunteer organizers from Better Angels about partisanship, bipartisanship, tribalism, and pulling people together. So I want to take it to current events. In the last, let's say, week and a half, we've seen the murder of 2 blacks in Kentucky, initially attempted at a church, a rash of mailed bombs to left side persona, and a shooting rampage at a temple. How would these issues be discussed or handled at a Better Angels workshop?
What I think it would be fodder, very good fodder for a next generation Better Angels event, in the sense that I'm not so sure that a pilot workshop would approach this because it is so intense. But a second workshop, which is precisely what those who experienced our workshop last week want to do going forward, would dig deeper into specific issues. So we form what are called political alliances, where voluntarily members who have experienced the first round workshop say, I would love to really have more substantive conversations with the person on the other side around certain issues that are riling this nation. So, and we're seeing the genesis of some of this, because in the last 1 week since our workshop, there's at least a core of 4 or 5 people, equal numbers on the Democratic and the Republican side, that precisely want to do this. So these are called political alliances, where you dig deeper with a person from the other side and try to understand his or her point of view. You don't walk away saying, I don't believe you, but you walk away saying, I don't agree with you, but I can see why you feel that way.
And are those moderated also?
I'm not so sure.
Those, I mean,
sure.
at this point, we don't expect those to be moderated. These are people that are quite knowledgeable on both sides, and I think can probably do a pretty good job of self-moderation. I think, you know, with the moderation that did go on in the protocol, it was tightly enough crafted that they certainly didn't invite or expect a lot of discussion about those events. And in fact, I would hope that everybody on both sides has enough humanity that we would all look with horror at all three events.
Let me ask you, given that you did this event and you know to some extent the people, do you think that they looked at it that way? Because I don't know whether nationally it's looked upon that way.
I would say because people who come to a Better Angels workshop tend to be self-selected and have an interest to start with, I would say that just about everybody in our workshop would have looked upon these events with horror.
I absolutely agree. I mean, it's interesting. The Blues would acknowledge, look, there are extremists on the left. There's a group called Antifa. The extremists on the right would say, look, there are hateful people, there are alt-right or neo-Nazi or this or that, but my God, those are fringes. And I'm not sure we're ever going to be able to influence those fringes, but the vast majority of the people are far more reasonable. If, regardless of what side you're on, people's goals and objectives in life are really common. They are shared. People want opportunity, economic opportunity, education for their children, quality health care, et cetera. People care about others who are less fortunate. The differences tend to be strategic ones. How do you achieve those things? And I think that even further discussion in Better Angels would talk more about the issues of how do you achieve those things, as opposed to dwelling on the extremes that, frankly, not sure any of us really understand.
Well, were there issues that came across that people did agree on or want to work together on? As I recall from the workshop we organized, there were people that agreed on certain things that were important to them. You know, from both sides, they said, you know what, we could work on this, or at least they were having a discussion towards something. Did anything come out like that this time?
I'm not so sure it was largely represented, but I do remember listening to folks on the red side who said that they were troubled by some of the national policies of this administration that left those with real need without a safety net. So now there is now a commonality. There are Reds who feel that there has to be a just way, a fair way, that the American democratic ideal, regardless of which party you belong to, addresses the needs of everybody. So that I think that answers your question in terms of,
Well, we're going to take another quick break. Actually, it's not so quick. We have some video about Better Angels. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the next steps to fight polarization. Stay with us.
Better Angels is a national grassroots citizens movement dedicated to 3 principles. Number 1, the rancor, the divisiveness, the hatred of others who disagree with you, the hyperpartisanship is a trend that has gone way too far in this country, and we need to put a stop to it right now. The second one is that despite our disagreements, our robust disagreements, and we're not trying to get people to change their minds here or convert to the other party, but despite those disagreements, there is some common ground. And for our posterity and for our sake of our democracy, we need to find that common ground right now. The third principle is that we can create a space in our lives, in our society, beginning with us as individuals and the groups we're a part of, and ultimately with our government. We can create a kind of depolarized zone, okay, where the divisiveness and rancor is outside that zone. We're operating within that zone in this different kind of way that is not so polarized and filled with rancor. And that building that zone of depolarization is crucial for our country, and we need to do it right now.
So what we've created with Better Angels is a container, a set of processes that encourage people to listen deeply to the opinions and the values and experiences of people on the other side of the chasm. And I learned something about you, and you returned the favor to me. And the core 2 questions there are, what values and beliefs does your side have that you think are good for the country? Values, policies, and beliefs. Your side, good for the country. And then the second question, what reservations or concerns do you have about your own side?
Welcome back. We're talking with Better Angels about a movement to get people to talk with each other. I don't know if the right word is talk, dialogue, but to listen more than anything. I want to shift to the younger generation and kids, teens. Many schools and summer camps and just places where you have children doing activities ask them not to discuss politics in any way, shape, or form. And I'm perhaps it's because the adults don't know how to handle it themselves, or they don't know how to handle the children doing it. Mm-hmm. But do you see this as a problem, and how do we, if a problem, how do we fix it?
You know, Better Angels does see that at least as an issue that it's interested in pursuing and tackling. My hypothesis is that the schools want to avoid political discussion because the students come from homes with different points of view, and that's the baggage they're bringing in. But is a kind of a first attempt at this. I'm actually giving a presentation on Election Day to 340 middle school students about the elections, what's taken place in the last few weeks, and Better Angels.
And you might want to videotape it so people can watch it.
All right, I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but but in addition to that, there is an effort to get Better Angels workshops on college campuses. You know, young people generally form their points of view and attitudes that stay with them for many years, oftentimes during the high school and the college years. And so there is a great deal of interest in how do we get students, particularly at the college level, to listen and communicate more respectfully. In fact, there's a group from Better Angels that will be working with and speaking with a group from the Woodrow Wilson Graduate School at Princeton University, I believe on November 9th, I believe. So after the election, but talking about this very issue and how to get more activity on the college campuses.
Okay, we have a viewer question. Did you want to add something?
Yes, that I would even go so far as to say that there is interest on the part of high schools around our nation, that we hone a methodology that we can begin to embed some of the principles and the competencies learned through Better Angels workshops in the context of U.S. history, civic engagement, and embedded into the curriculum. Presently, I am in conversation with what are called the Red, Blue, and White Schools of Connecticut. Red, Blue, and White Schools of Connecticut, who have been flagged by the governor of Connecticut as flagship schools where civic engagement becomes front and center. So I think this becomes a nice avenue for Better Angels to penetrate and begin to have a real impact on education.
Okay, so it is something
Yeah.
that is being considered.
Yeah.
We have a question from a viewer. I'm going to read it to you. Is the two-party system in place since America was founded going to survive?
My guess is the two-party system will survive or largely survive, and at the same time, it's probably big part of the problem. I'm a business person by background, so I'm used to business strategy terms. In the world of politics, I would say there are huge barriers to entry. It's difficult to run for office without huge financial support from the party. And so it is a system that almost self-perpetuates itself, which is what makes the activities of Better Angels so much more important, because that system inherently, as the money has increased, has pushed people further and further apart. And somehow we need to get citizens to recognize where they have common ground and work together and convince the political class that they need to do the same thing.
So do you see things improving, worsening? Do you have hope, I guess is what I'm really asking you.
So everything that I have heard, either through Better Angels discussions as well as political analysis, is that things are going to get worse before they get better. We have not hit rock bottom. However, the Better Angels movement and other movements like it are running against the current, very clearly. I think that is quite obvious. But we are beginning to see this movement, in spite of the current, all across the country. From California, we have members in Alaska. We have members in Florida. We have members in Hawaii. So this is just very interesting that despite the current trend and the wave towards tribalism and echo chambers, there is really a thirst in the nation to mitigate the polarization, and that I don't think this movement is going to stop. I think it's going to continue to build momentum, and we will have the lift that we need because more and more people are in fact seeing the need for this. So,
Any advice for those uncomfortable Thanksgiving tables?
yes.
Yes. Actually, Better Angels, in addition to these Red Blue workshops we've discussed, actually conducts skills workshops as well. Those skills workshops are intended to teach or train people how to communicate in respectful ways, how to listen respectfully, how to have curiosity. There are ways to listen to make sure that the speaker knows they've been heard. There are ways to ask questions so that the person sees you have genuine curiosity, not gotcha questions, but questions to understand where that person is coming from. There's training in terms of when might those conversations be more effective? When perhaps should you avoid them? There are ways to express points of view that make it clear that it's a personal opinion, and even to share what is some background experience that leads you there, again, so that the communication becomes less of a battle, more of learning from one another, respecting one another. It takes role modeling.
Sounds like family therapy.
The skills discipline for these workshops actually was developed by a marital therapist. And my wife, who has been a moderator both for skills workshop and a Red Blue workshop, is a therapist and does a lot of couples work.
Okay, there we are.
Not a surprise.
We are running out of time, but I want to give you the opportunity to tell people who might want to learn more about Better Angels or get involved with Better Angels, where they go and what they do.
Well, we have the website, which is www.better-angels.org. Please.
Don't forget the hyphen.
Yes, very important. There's a wealth of information. And actually, to Ken's previous point about how to have these conversations during the holidays, there's an entire scripted guidance around that.
Yes.
And all this is for public consumption at no cost. So please read up about us. Please take advantage of the materials. Use them to your advantage. And again, become a member. I do have to say that because it's just $10 for the year, and you are getting way more than $10 worth of value in terms of.
And I like
yes,
the slogan you used on your flyer, "Let's get America to relate again."
to relate again.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us, Sarah and Ken.
Thank you.
And you, stay tuned. We'll be back with more of the Local Live in a moment.
I watch the Local Live so that I can ask questions about my community.
Caller, go ahead.
I watch so I can find out what's going on the go.
Because I catch up at any time, from anywhere, and see any show. Shh.
You tell us, we air it. This is the Local.
It only took 6 months for Larchmont couple Audrey and Thibault Decker, the founders of Street Art for Mankind, to set up 6 historical murals in Larchmont. This week, 5 other artists have been working on their own murals, each with a different historical figure, in time for an interactive art walk this Sunday, November 4th at 2 p.m. The walk would integrate a mobile app called Behind the Wall, which will give users some historical facts on the mural, the village, and the artists.
Street Art for Mankind is a nonprofit organization that aims to stop child trafficking through the power of art. With the help of local businesses and government, Larchmont couple Audrey and Thibault Decker wanted to show the village's colorful history through bold murals done by renowned street artists, a tangible ode to life.
We do have a history that many people who live here are not aware of. From the very beginning, people who were forging new paths, great amount of artists who've lived here over the years, and actually we have quite a few artists who live here now, some of them quite famous. And I think using street art in this way, it's a really powerful medium. I mean, you cannot walk past one of these walls now without really having an impact on you and stopping to think, what does that mean, and and have it make you think a little bit about the place. Basically, it's a placemaker. It allows people who live here now to understand, where it is that they live, what it went through, and where it's going.
One of the artists, Victor Ashe, was given Edward Collins, the ship magnate who lived in the manor house and who named Larchmont after the trees he planted in front of his home and the rise on which the home was built.
He's the first one who was making this globalism thing, that everybody talks so much about. Like, he was not the first one, he was one of the first ones to do that. We speak a lot about sustainability, we speak about green transport nowadays, and this logistics is something that creates a lot of pollution, So I think it was very interesting as I work a lot with themes around nature and sustainability. So I think it was a great person to look into, and especially the way his life developed, and he lost all of his family on one of his boats that sank.
We were just watching a Banksy video, so it was just timely that I walked past the mural installation, and it's just a reminder that art can be anywhere, even in the small village of Larchmont. And just the ability for people to come and see art in their own neighborhood is amazing. And it gets people excited because, wow, did you see that wall? Wow, it's something to talk about. And it's unexpected. And that surprise and delight is such a nice thing to have.
People are so excited by them. I have not heard one negative comment. And that's amazing.
The 6 murals will be shown off during an interactive art walk held by Street Art for Mankind on Sunday, November 4th. For the Local Live, I'm Sibylla Chipaziwa.
An artisanal food and craft spirit company known as Catskill Provisions was at the Down-to-Earth Farmers Market in Larchmont. Aurora Folks brings us a scoop of honey.
We are Catskill Provisions. We're a honey company over in the Western Catskills. So we have about 250 beehives. We do raw wildflower honey. So we do spring and fall honey. We also have creamed honey, honeycomb, and then our honey whiskey. So this is a rye whiskey from New York, aged for 3 years in oak, and then we infuse it with our fall honey. So really nice. The rye is really spicy. The honey helps balance it out, so it's really smooth, easy to drink. A little dangerous. And then we work with local producers upstate for all the other products. So we have apple cider vinegar, non-GMO sweetened with our honey, little herbs as well, and then maple syrup from Sullivan County, pancake mix from up in Ithaca, New York, really fresh flour, and then ketchup that's just sweetened with honey. So no refined sugar, no preservatives. Well, I like composting. We are very sustainable in our practices with beekeeping. So, we don't use any antibiotics. We don't use any chemicals. We are really, we work with farmers that don't use any of those things as well. So we're trying to be as natural as possible. So composting, I think, is just another layer of that, and totally support that. This is raw honeycomb. It's just basically cut right out of the frame instead of having the honey extracted. And so you do get a little bit of the wax in there, but people have been chewing honeycomb for thousands of years. Basically, it's like the first chewing gum, so it has a little waxy consistency. But you can put it on oatmeal or in salads, little cheese. Just for nice texture, and it looks really cool.
Very, very nice. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to sampling your honey as well. Thank you.
We visited the One River School of Art and Design in Larchmont, and here is what we found.
Hello and welcome to the Art Rocks event here at One River School in Larchmont. My name is Esteban, I'm the assistant director here, and we're super excited to get started. There's people coming in, they're doing an art project. It's sort of a group art project you can see through the window behind us. The kids are really excited. It really gives everyone the opportunity to sort of see the space, see what we do here, gives them a 45-minute preview so that they can get excited about some of the classes we have. We just came out of summer camp, so it's that whole energy coming from summer back to school, and some people may be looking forward to it, some people may not be, but when you come to class, it's great.
The One River School in Larchmont celebrated back-to-school season by hosting an Art Rocks event. Kids work together to create a mural and work on art projects. Families had the opportunity to try out free workshops, meet the staff, and tour the facilities.
We are so excited to be hosting our Art Rocks event today. It's a fall open house for back to school for all our classes, and I invite everyone down either for the event today, or if you can't make it today, no worries. We have all our classes that have started already for the fall, and we have classes after school, Monday through Thursday. We have classes on Saturday all day, anything from pre-K classes all the way up through adults.
I like to do art. I like to get messy, and it's really fun to get messy. And my sister went here when I was doing something else, so I couldn't do it. So now I'm excited to get a chance so that I can do it too.
And basically what we're excited about is starting this new fall, hoping we get a lot of new people coming in and interested. And I actually think that we really do have really high quality programming for kids, for adults. We use really great supplies and materials for kids and for adults. And we're just here trying to get some people come in to have some fun.
Since its February opening, One River has become home to over 200 members and has served over 500 summer campers. You can start your art journey today and join the One River family at 2081 Boston.
And here's what's happening around town. The Fuller Center for Housing is holding a walk for homes in Larchmont on Sunday, November 4th from 1 to 5 p.m. The kickoff will be at St. Augustine's Church, 18 Cherry Avenue. For more information, email Jim Killeran at jim@fullercenternewyork.org. The Village of Mamaroneck Arts Council brings its Art Life Lecture Series to the Mamaroneck Public Library. On Sunday, November 4th at 2 p.m., Christina Ball is a guest speaker. She's an artist whose dream is to paint 10,000 different bird species. Visit www.mamaronecklibrary.org for more information. This month for Sedona Tap House Stakeout for charity, LMC-TV is the cause. Every Monday night starting November 5th, enjoy an 8-ounce Black Angus flat iron steak for only $6. $1 will be donated to your community media center. Thank you, Sedona Tap House. LMC-TV is happy to be partnering with you yet again. The Westchester Polar Plunge is back on Saturday, November 17th at Glen Island Park, New Rochelle. There is still time to register to be freezing for a reason in the Long Island Sound. Learn how you can help raise money for Special Olympics New York athletes by visiting www.polarplungenewyork.org/Westchester.
LMC Cast. The whole system is fine. All right, cool. I definitely would recommend doing podcasts if you are someone that likes to get something off the chest, or you want to just talk about anything in the world that just might interest you. Podcast here at LMC-TV is amazing.
I hope you're listening out there.
This week, LMC-TV sports guy Rob Moretti brings us Rhinebeck football highlights.
Welcome back to the Local Live. I'm Rob Moretti. This past week, the Rhinebeck Black Hats hosted Edgemont in their regular season finale. Separated by just a game in the Independent League standings, this matchup would also determine which team gets to play in the inaugural Independence Bowl. After a stormy Saturday, the game was moved to a Monday night at Harrison High School, so let's head out there. First quarter, it's Edgemont's Anthony Langjulie spinning out of a tackle and ripping off a big gain down the sideline, a 35-yard run that sets up the Panthers with 1st and goal. Now 3rd and goal from the 3, Langjulie lines up at quarterback and pushes through the pile to put the Panthers up 7-0 after the PAT. But the Black Hats would respond immediately. 1st and 10, sophomore QB Evan Falco unleashes a bomb for Ryan Ramos. He takes off down the sideline and is pushed out after gaining 42 yards on the play. Just a couple of plays later, Ramos sent in motion, gets the pitch, reads the blockers perfectly, and pushes for the last yards he needs to find the end zone, tying the game at 7-all after Rhinebeck's extra point. Second quarter now, Edgemont driving with the ball just shy of the goal line. Kirk Gianleonardo sneaks through for the score, and a successful PAT gives the Panthers a 14-7 lead. The defenses would be on lockdown until the 4th quarter. Here, Falco finds Matt Quartararo on a slant route. He breaks one tackle and another and goes all the way for a 40-yard touchdown catch. But why tie when you can win? The Black Hats elect to go for 2 with 8 minutes still left to play. Falco scrambles right, decides to take it himself, and it's ruled to be good. Was his knee down before he crossed the goal line? You be the judge, but there's no replay in high school, so it counts. 15-14 Black Hats. On the ensuing possession, Langjulie takes the handoff, but is met immediately and loses the football. Black Hats recover, and they're all set up. Later, Falco drops back and gets rushed. He dekes left and right with an impeccable Aaron Rodgers impression, then lets it go into the end zone for a touchdown catch by Michael Colasanti. Extra point would be good, putting the Black Hats up by 8. Last chance for Edgemont. They have a 4th and long in Rhinebeck territory, and the pass is intercepted by Luke Murphy with just over a minute left to play. A couple of kneel downs are all Rhinebeck needs to seal the victory, finishing the regular season at 5-3, and most importantly, clinching a spot in the Independence Bowl. Tyler Simon led the way for the Black Hats with 141 rushing yards. He also made several big plays on defense on his way to 10 tackles, including 3 sacks. Rhinebeck will look to avenge a regular season loss to Blindbrook in the Independence Bowl this Saturday at 7 p.m. at Edgemont High School. For the Local Live, I'm Rob Moretti.
The fundraising drive around a mural in our town center studio continues. We plan to use the funds towards a production van, which will give LMC-TV the ability to broadcast community events live on location and more. Thank you to all who have donated. The mural is still missing some pieces. Individuals as well as groups can help by visiting lmctv.org/communitymural.
We would like to thank local artist Jamie Lynn at Made, an art studio in Mamaroneck, for creating a beautiful community mural. Place your piece in this mural by contributing to LMC-TV, the community connection that brings you local board meetings, varsity sports, and your local news. Please contribute to this community mural by going to our website and clicking on Donate. Each contributor will be listed next to the mural when it is complete. We value your appreciation of what we do. Become a single donor or as a group, go to lmctv.org. The only piece missing is you.
Tonight, a vigil was held in Larchmont to pay respects to the lives lost to recent violence in the country, including the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh that left 11 dead last weekend. We love hearing from our viewers. Please send all emails, comments, inquiries, news tips, pictures, and videos to locallive@lmctv.org. Remember, if you missed Thursday's live broadcast, you can catch replays of the Local Live twice a day on this channel and find story clips on our YouTube channel. Be sure to also follow us on Facebook, where we stream live every Thursday night, and keep an eye out for some unique content. One more thing, don't forget to turn your clocks back 1 hour on Saturday night as daylight savings time comes to an end on Sunday. Thank you for watching the Local Live. I'm Alexandria Garcia, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night.